evening, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I'd like to thank the Institute of Marine Engineers Chary branch and HIMT, the sponsor of this program, for giving me this opportunity to talk to this distinguished gathering of maritime professionals. Since morning, the time I left my house, Mr. Murphy's Law has been working overtime. My flight took off 1 hour later. My baggage came 1 hour later. My signing in here at the Woodlands took another hour. So anticipating delay, as I came in, I told the caterers also to delay by 1 hour so that I can keep talking to you. But I am in a dilemma today, real dilemma. I thought it was an institution of marine engineers, but I find, to a pleasant surprise, many master mariners. So if I start talking about autonomous ships from the engine room, the master mariners will be unhappy with me. If I start talking from the bridge, the engineers will be unhappy with me. So what do I do? So I will talk about Mr. John. John was the child prodigy born in UK. By the age of 3, he could read, write, and speak English much more fluently than the Oxford or Cambridge graduate. So obviously his parents, or any parent of such a child, were very happy. So they put him in school and he did very well. By the age of 6, he started reading books which are prescribed for a undergraduate program. But unfortunately, and what's more, by the time he reached his teens, he had already read works of Shakespeare, Alexander Dumas, R.L. Stevenson, poets like Keats and Shelley, and many of these famous authors which people at their postgraduate level in literature read. But unfortunately, at the age of 6, a tragedy struck his family. His mother gave birth to a young kid sister for John and died. His father, who was a lawyer, within 3 months died out of shock. So John, just 6 years old, and his young sister were orphaned. So they were put in charge of an aunt who was not very happy, because even in those days, this is the late 19th century, nobody wants to take additional load. But then there was a duty. She was the sister of the mother of the child. So took over, and this boy continued his studies. But his aunt was happy with him because he was a very obedient child. But one thing she was not happy about, he was a bookworm. So she was trying to wean him away from this. And she could do it because he was doing very well in school. But by the time he reached 13, she said, "Now, young man, you have to go into work." But who would give a job to a person who is to a child who is just 13 years old? He said, no, everybody turned out. One of our friends said, let him go to the sea. So he became a sailor. And those were the days when the ships were with sails, So this boy readily accepted it. no child of 13 years will just leave the house, but he's ready because he said, on board a ship, my aunt will not be able to disturb me in my pursuit of literature. So his aunt packed his baggage, and quietly this fellow took quite a lot of books from his father's library and also took it along with him. And all the time, spare time that he had, all his friends would either play or do whatever. This child will either read or write, but wouldn't show what he's doing. The captain became very furious. He adopted a very patronizing attitude. He said, let's help this child. So he used to give him books. So this child would not leave the ship even when he gets his leave. It was very difficult for this master to push him out. So this went on for some time, and a ship once went to Chile, Argentina. It was very hot. This child became ill, very ill. The doctor said he will not survive. So the captain became a little bit worried. He put him on the next available ship and sailed him off to his home, that is UK. But when the ship touched New York, this boy quietly got out. He knew that he will not be able to continue his reading habits if he reaches home. So he was doing odd jobs in New York. But every week he will buy a new book. 13, 14-year-old doing. So during the course of his voyage, he wrote what is called the Saltwater Ballads, poet. And one of those poems, the title is Sea Fever. The opening verse of this is, I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely seas and sky. Because those days were only sailing ships, few of them. Sky was only stars, not satellites. So he said, I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely seas and sky, and all I ask is a tall ship, huge sails. Tall ship and a star to steer her by. This was the late 18th century John. Now if John were to reincarnate in the 21st century, how will he phrase it? We will see this after my presentation. You've all heard of this post of Newfoundland, where the Labrador current, the cold current from the north, meets the Gulf Stream, and that is supposed to be the densest place on earth. If you put out your hand, you cannot see it. That is to be the fog. It also, because of this unique nature of two, warm current and cold current, it became the best breeding ground for fishes. So a lot of fishing crafts will be there. So the ship, on its transatlantic voyage, was making its way, approaching Newfoundland on a dark, dead dark December night. Maybe 23rd of December is the darkest night and the longest night. Suddenly it gets an information, the ship gets an information that the storm was going somewhere ahead. So it changes its course, changes its speed, alters its speed, and makes its way. It's a normal transatlantic voyage. As it approaches the port of call, it sees a cluster of fishing vessels, small vessels. So again, as a ship would do normally, it again alters its course to avoid hitting those ships, changes its speed and makes its way to the port. It loads, discharges and goes away. So you would ask, what is peculiar about it? One thing peculiar about this is a ship which has got nobody on board. It's an autonomous ship, And what is more, it's being controlled from a remote control center which is based somewhere in Hong Kong or Singapore. So that's what is going to be the topic which I'm planning to present. But fortunately for me, the POMMD has been the previous speaker. He has said what wanted to say. So, but then I've already delayed the catering people, so I have time to fill it up. So I'll try to fill it up in my own way. Now, Murphy's Law. The format of my presentation is I use the PowerPoint. It will consist of the text plus a few video clips about autonomous ships, because everyone believes one picture can convey more thought than a million words, and a video will convey a billion more thoughts. But unfortunately, Murphy's Law is working overtime here again. So I'll be able to show you only the still pictures of the videos which I have. Now, there is going to be a question after session. I will start with the question. And this is not for those people who have already attended my talk on this subject back. What was the first automatic control device that entered the ship? Anybody? Whoever gives the right answer can have one more helping of the dessert. In the year exactly 200 years ago, in 1819, after the Industrial Revolution, when the steamship got into all the factories, displacing workers, made mechanical power available, some brilliant person there also thought of putting it on board ship. So along with it came the centrifugal governor. So this is supposed to be the first automation device. Automation device doesn't necessarily mean electronics or microprocessor or whatever. This was the first device which entered the ship in 1819. And that's what everyone thought. So did I. But somebody sent me this. This device came. Which is the particular light? You're all familiar with this. This has been there since the dawn of humanity on this earth. I'm talking about this. After the job is done, the paperwork is completed. You pull the lever, the tank empties automatically and then gets filled up. That is the first automatic device according to one of my seniors in SCI, is that this is the first automation device which was the inspiration for the development of boiler automation consisting of a drum level controller. Anyway, we leave this debate and then quickly go to the genesis. And why I want to do this, I'll tell you later. Between 1918, that is the first time when the steamships came on board, steam engine with central governors came on board between this period. In 1908, gyro compass, first it was used on board aircraft, then it got adopted over the ship. In 1920s, self-steering gear, that is what it was called. It was called autopilot for aircraft, but for a ship it used to be called steering gear. Now we call it autopilot. That was in the 1920s. In 1925, automation, automatic boiler control systems and echo cylinder were installed. Between 36 and 40, during the World War years, a lot of development in radar technology took place. Radars came in. Between 65 and 70, main engine and generator automation, the birth of UMS class or E0 class ships were there. 1965 and 1970 again, the condition monitoring or trend monitoring of main engine came on board. 65 and 70 again, because of these developments, preceding developments, the classification societies, first the Lloyd's Register came with the notation UMS, unmanned machinery space, and the DNV came with E0, the engineer 0 class. Between 70 and 75, satellite navigator, load indicator or load max computer came on board. Between 75 and 80, shipboard computers and LAN. Between 80 and 1985, satellite communication and GPS. In 1990, programmable logic controller, which is present everywhere on board. And then between 1995 and 2001, GMDSs equipment such as EPUB, SAT, EGDIS, so on and so forth. 1999, nearly 20 years ago, the concept of Internet of Shipping and autonomous ships were introduced. This was on the drawing board for a very, very long time. And between 2019 and 2020, fully autonomous cargo ships, Yara Bergland, is going to be launched in Norway. Now, why do I say all this? Excepting for the first one, that is centrifugal governor, which is now for the diesel engines, you have the electronic injection in governor. All the others form the part of an autonomous ship. Without this version, it's not an autonomous ship. How it becomes unautonomous, I will explain to you later. What are the concept drivers? Success in the field of science, space and nuclear science and technology. Rapid developments in information and communication technology, artificial intelligence and machine learning. We'll see a little bit more about machine learning later. Development of high reliability and high availability components like smart sensors, smart actuators and systems. Advances in sensor fusion technology, I will be elaborating on this a little bit. And Internet of Things. Smart sensor, this is a bookish definition. But I will give you an example of smart sensors. I will be showing you the block diagram. Take for example a generator. Its winding has got the temperature sensor called PT100. It measures the temperature. If it goes beyond a certain level, then automatically the generator is shut off. So what does the Batti Saab do? The chief engineer only says, "Hey Batti, go." He goes, sees whether the temperature sensor is okay or not. If not, he replaces it with a spare one and then goes and reports it. Immediately, the chief engineer notes it down, checks whether his inventory spares has got a spare one, so that if it fails again, he should be able to immediately supply it. This is the normal manned ship. But in an autonomous ship, when there is nobody on board, who will do it? So, on board an autonomous ship, the machine learning process takes care of what all this person does manually. Normally in autonomous ships, the design is based on space technology. And what is this design? This design, in short, is called FSSR. First FS stands for fail-safe. Second FS stands for fail-safe again. And the third stands for safe return. So there will be two spares there, and the safe return is taken care of with this artificial intelligence. So on board the ship also, on autonomous ships, you will have the machine intelligence taking care of this. It will automatically switch over. There will be two sensors, or if not two, three. They will be in what is called the watchdog mode. Each sensor watching the other. One is active, one is standby. If the third one, the first standby is hot standby, The second standby is called cold standby. So what happens is, watchdog mode, when the difference between these two temperatures are high, immediately it goes to the hot standby, and the cold standby becomes hot standby. And then it doesn't stop there. How about the inventory? It sends a message to the inventory control system on board and checks whether there is any spare sensors on board. If not, it sends a message to the remote control center, to the superintendent, stating that it is short of this thing, and this is the specification, and this is the next port of call. Please put one spare on board. So this makes it smart. Now here's a simple block diagram example. It's a common temperature sensor. Yeah, it's for temperature, pressure, acceleration, position, magnetic field, radiation. Because it is also meant for naval ships. This ASIC means application specific integrated circuit. For a specific application, for a ship, it will be a specific one. For an aircraft, it will be another specific one. So it senses, signal conditioning takes place. This is analog to digital converter. It converts into this signal and it goes for various functions. Analog interface for the indicator, digital interface for the alarm, and control interface for sending messages to the other systems like ordering out spares. Now if it is a fully autonomous, this is remote control. There are basically two types of autonomous ships. They have made it 5, but basically it is 2. We'll come to that. If it is fully autonomous, there is no remote controller. So this ship will have a list of original equipment manufacturer. It will raise an indent and give the specification, order out spares, and give the itinerary of the ship at the next port of call so that somebody comes and replaces it. Sensor fusion technology, as the name suggests, is a fusion of outputs of various sensors sensing the same object or similar objects. The purpose is to be very, very sure of the target. The definition of the target, there shouldn't be any uncertainty. So there will be multiple sensors, and this is how it will look like. This is sensor fusion technology. You have the LiDAR, light detection radio, radars, and cameras. And then it goes into a processor. Yeah. There is a model of the processor, there is actual measurement, and this is called which gives the intelligence. It is called the Kalman filter. It predicts, updates, and predicts, and this cycle goes on till a perfect definition of the object which is being sensed is got. And when there are multiple sensors, it combines everything and does the job. It is called the Kalman filter. Kalman was a Hungarian mathematician. In 1995, when Hungary was under the communist belt, he ran away to USA with this formula. Nobody trusted him that he can do this job. But he lingered on, he worked on it, and the first Apollo mission, they used this technology. And this technology is still being used after 60 years. That is the power of this technology. What does it look like? This is an example of how it works. You see here, this is an aircraft which is seeing something flying towards it. So it has got all these sensing devices, radar, mini intrusion detection sensor, forward-looking infrared sensor, and there is another kind of sensor. Each one is showing it in a different way. So, the person, if he doesn't have the experience, then he can go wrong. So, this technology takes over what you saw, the Kalman filter. It senses it perfectly and produces this sort of a picture. So it's with unclear sensing because of noise and other things. You must have seen on the ship, on the radar, you have what is called two controls. One is sea clutter, the other is rain clutter. Because the radar signal not only bumps off from the ship, but it comes from these things. So those things are all filtered out. And that is what the Kalman filter looks like. Is it a magnetic filter? It's a fine mesh filter. All kinds of filters you have seen on board ships, but that is not the thing. This is the filter. Not a very encouraging thing. Everybody is surprised, what is this? This is the brain behind it, what we call artificial intelligence. What cycle you were seeing, sorry, in the previous one, this cycle is done mathematically. There is it. Now what is the meaning of this state? This state is initial state. What is initial state? It is the location or position, velocity and acceleration of the object which is being targeted. There could be n objects, and this Kalman will detect each and every one of them, put them through a cycle like this and keep on updating till exact clearance comes. And everything moves at a tremendous pace. The speed at with which it does the job, this is called the cycle time. Delta T is the cycle time, and that is in microseconds. That is possible because of the speed of micros. The success of this technology is mainly because of the success of artificial intelligence itself is because of the speed and the memory capacity of the modern day. Smart actuator is again like a smart sensor. It has got everything built in it, plus this artificial intelligence. So if an actuator fails, it will automatically go and switch over to the standby one, place an order for a new one, and the thing goes on. This is how it, again, it's all, what is to be noted here is the processing. This is called Smart Transducer Integration Module. This is the software. NCAP is Network Capable Application Processor. This is the database which I am talking about. It keeps on checking the health. This is transducer electronic data sheet. This is called health electronics data sheet. So when there are two sensors, they are on what is called watchdog mode and keep on watching the monitoring the health of each other. And if one fails, the other comes on. The actuator actuates which are available. It's like a positioning of a wall or whatever. Internet of Things, all of you must be aware. It's a network of physical devices, vehicles, applications, other items embedded in electronics, with electronics, software, sensors, actuators, blah, 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 requiring or without requiring human to human or human to computer interaction. So on board there is going to be nobody. So you require the Internet of Things on board. Each object is uniquely identified because it has to talk to each other. Because each one has got its Aadhaar card. So that is how the Internet of Things